good inch of snow. That means it's pike fishing time. Flat calm. Beautiful day. I'm wondering what those two extra buoys are in the water. They're new. They could be nets. Or there could be a marker buoy to ships to say, avoid that bit in the middle because it's a big rocky reef that'll tear the arse out of your boat. This alone is worth getting out of bed for in the morning. Let's see how we get on today. Roll that intro. Pike fishing in the snow. This is probably one of the few places you can actually get down to the loch. The little road down here, I'm going to show you a clip of it now. Fishing in a winter wonderland. It was a bit interesting trying to get down it this morning. The roads down were alright where they were gritted. It's just unfortunate that there wasn't too much of it gritted. Which is strange, but I actually enjoyed driving in the winter. You know, even though it was snowing and heavy, the cold and freezing, I actually kind of like driving in the winter. I lived up in the Highlands of Scotland for a while, and at that point I drove a Land Rover Defender. Now anyone that's ever drove a Land Rover Defender will testify to this. You know, they're not the quickest of machines. Might not be the most comfortable of machines either. Mine was a 2-litre TDI. Well, that was from 1987, but it started off as 1987. Then it got an engine from a scrap Discovery, Land Rover Discovery, so it was a 2-litre version of the TDI engines. It was okay. But the Highlands of Scotland and places like Nairn and where I lived and Kinloss, it used to get serious snow. It's basically the foothills of the Cairngorms. It used to get proper snow. There was a couple of occasions where people that worked with me were stranded and stuck on the roads, and I'd be the only one stupid enough to go out and get them. But hey ho. The good thing about the armed forces, the military, they do lots of things. Like they do lots of training, and had a rig that was on the side of a Land Rover that when the person in the passenger seat pressed the button, it simulated whether you hit ice or snow or like flooded in water. So whilst it was labelled as like proper training, you used to see how many donuts you could do when they pressed the button to hit black ice. So you'd have to get some decent speed up, and then sharp turn, he'd hit the button, so you'd be hitting on ice, and you'd see how many times you could spin around before you came to a stop. Good crack. But if anyone was ever listening, it was definitely like proper winter training. It wasn't, you know, a load of fucking idiots messing around on the dispersal pan of a runway. But good times. Fishing Ross Clare today. You've seen me fish here before. The snow's stopped coming down, but this is just a beautiful place to be. Two guys went out in a blow-up boat. I kind of thought to myself, they're crazy. They're going to do some island hopping. And I thought, well, fair play to you. It's not something I would do in a blow-up boat on the Lower Lough Erne. Because the Lower Lough's such a big expanse of water, one minute it can be perfectly flat, calm. The next, the wind can kick up and you will be able to surf the waves. You know, fishing here in Northern Ireland and the south, I mean the Great Western Loughs like Corrib and Mask and Con, even Lough Allen, they're all the same. You know, they do get regular kickings from the Atlantic. The wind comes off the Atlantic straight into them. You know, where we are now, we're not, you know, as the crow flies, we're not far from the edge of the, you know, the edge of the country. You know, and past that is the Atlantic Ocean. You know, one of the roughest, biggest oceans in the world, look. So, it gets regular kickings coming from the west. And then when it gets weather coming from the north, that's bringing it down from like Iceland and Norway. So that brings really cold winds. And then if we're getting easterlies, then that tends to be Siberian winds. But by the time they've hit us, they've already just really give Scotland and England a bit of a kicking. And Wales, not to forget the Welsh. Already gave them a bit of a kicking. So by the time it gets to us, it's kind of almost blew itself out. Northern Ireland, it tends to be storms coming from the jets, like the bands of the wind, the jet stream goes around the world. There's times the jet stream will come across North America, go right up to the Arctic, and then dip down straight into the coast of Ireland, and it gives you an awful chilly, cold day. But it's winter time. You just have to man up and put on an extra jumper, 2 pair of pants, 4 pair of socks. This is why you always buy boots that are 2 sizes or a size too big for you. Today is the 5th session in 2021 for pike. So let's have a go at today and see what today brings. I have a feeling this 1 cup of coffee is not going to be enough. I'm going to have to get the wee stove on and make another one. But I'll drink this, then I'll run through some rigs I'm using with you guys. Hopefully we get a fish today to show you. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? Catching a fish today. It'd be really nice. I'm conscious that I'm showing you videos where there's not a lot of action happening. And that's kind of crap, and I apologise for that. But the way I look at things, I'm showing you normal fishing. You know, it's all very fine watching, you know, like big names in angling come to the Erne system, where they'll have a part of it, you know, private accessed. Like for the feeder fishing, they'll have people, you know, chucking in half a ton of pre-bait for them. Same with the pike angling, there'll be people coming and feeding swims, taking them out, guided. Meanwhile, the rest of us have to kind of grind it out. It'll be interesting when I get the boat back in the water. Hopefully I'll be able to get access to more places to fish, but I can't really do that. There's enough jobs around the house that need the pennies. So telling the wife I'm going to spend £1,000 buying, you know, fiberglass and paint and marine ply to do up a boat. Then put another, you know, 1500 quid's worth of electrics on it. Then pay somebody to sandblast the trailer and powder coat it or paint it again for me. Change the bearings and axles. Yeah, there's loads of other jobs that's coming before that.
20 minutes later.
Right. Roach. Eel. Big smelt. The roach is just fishing in the middle of those three markers there. It's a snaggy, dirty place, full of snags, big boulders, rocks. The best with these markers are here to stop boats coming into it. However, if I put a bait on the outside of it just as it's starting to come up, it's a feature. Features hold fish, so it might work. These two baits are in the deeper water just out there. So let's get a mug of coffee on the go, because it is a rather beautiful but bit nippy day. You can see out there past that point there's a pair of cormorants working, or grebes. I can't tell at this distance, I'll have to get the binoculars out. You can see them diving so they're obviously diving and eating bait fish. So Malta's not alone. Jesus, there's two cars now here. Somebody's in an inflatable boat. They're going to go fishing in an inflatable dinghy on Lower Lough Erne. Now, well, their health, I guess. Oh, it looks solid enough. Inflatable. We five or six horsepower in the back of that, and it's taking the two men and all their gear. Looks solid enough. Okay, I'll be honest with you, if it was a windy day and the loch was evil, I wouldn't even go out. But I suppose if it's just kind of sticking close to the bays and hopping from island to island, it'd be alright, look. That you want to see the wee bag it came in, wasn't that big. But hey ho, cup of coffee time. Right, cup of coffee time. Just have to clear the snow. I shouldn't have any problems keeping the milk cold today, that's one thing for sure. Here we have one of Fermanagh's commercial net anglers. Out to rape the system a wee bit. Let's just have a wee look and see what he's catching. Oh, there's a fish. I'll be honest, the fact that this goes on in this day and age is fucking disgusting. That clown should be fucking ashamed of himself. Absolutely ashamed of himself. There's another fish, look at the size of that one. That's a big pike. This is why there's no fish in the system.
That's 2 pike he's had so far. That one's quite a decent size one. Look at the size. Look at the size. That's it. Just fuck it into the bucket, sure. Something small there. Looks like a wee trout. There's another small fish. Another fish. That's 2 pike he's had so far. That one's quite a decent size one. Look at the size. Look at the size. That's it. Just fuck it into the bucket, sure. Something small there. Looks like a wee trout. Another fish. It doesn't take very long for a fishery to lose all its brood stock, when you have people netting all the aquatic highways and byways that the fish use. You know, if those nets are strung, like imagine where we are now, we're at a wooden jetty, across from us is an island. Now, you can't string a net across from here to the island,
because it's a major traffic route. So he strings the net below the traffic route, hugging the shore. So basically anything that's coming down this side of this shoreline, that comes down this shoreline and wants to go down to there, gets snagged in his nets. Magic, isn't it? He'll also have put, now just around the corner here, there'll be a big bay and there'll be two little islands. He'll have put nets between the first little island and the second little island. So any pike wanting to go into the bay, either chasing food stuff or come out of the bay to either, you know, again, chase something to eat, or walks into a wall of death. A gill net basically strangles the fish to death. Suffocate, they can't breathe. The fish swim head first in and they get caught up in the gill net and they drown because they can't get oxygen to their gills. So it's the equivalent of being strangled to death, really. When this gentleman was approached by my friend, he uttered the words, "This is a trout fishery. The trout men want the pike removed." Wow. Wow. Talk about some dark ages bullshit, eh? This is a trout fishery. The pike men aren't welcome. The trout men are the only thing that's to be catered for. It also reveals how fucking stupid it is, you know? Pardon my language. By taking out fish that control small jacks, what happens? Pike are highly cannibalistic. Pike will heavily predate on their own. So a pike that eats the small pike controls the numbers of the pike. But if you take away the big pike, like mid-double sized fish that was chucked into the bottom of the boat, then there's nothing to come up and take away the small pike. So there's an explosion of jack pike, which I guarantee you will do trout anglers more harm than they could ever imagine. This is a beautiful place. The Erne system, Lower Lough Erne, could be the jewel in the Irish angling crown. Look at it. You know, people spend thousands of pounds to come here and fish. You know, people go out of their way, they come from all around the world to this place to fish. And what does the powers that be do? Do they reward the anglers, encourage the anglers, step in to possibly help with the restocking or farming to increase the stocks? Nope. The only thing they seem to care about is the game angling community. Welcome to Lough Erne 2021.